Hello, everyone. In this video, I'm going to talk about qualitative and quantitative research and their differences. For this class, you already decided about your topic and the population of study. Now, let's talk about the method. There are two major methods to do social research: quantitative and qualitative research methods. Many factors contribute to your decision that which method you should choose for your study. For example, the topic of study, how competent you feel in implementing a specific method, the gaps you identify in the existing literature, and what are the expectations of the university or the work that you are doing research for. These factors, all of them, affect your decision about the method you're going to use. For example, if you're doing a quantitative or qualitative class for the university for one of your classes, then you should go with that method. In this video, I'm going to talk very quickly about these two methods and their differences. I may not go through many details just for the sake of simplification. I don't want to make it so complicated. I created this table that gives you a big picture of the differences. The main difference between quantitative and qualitative study is their underpinning paradigms or philosophies. Quantitative study comes from the paradigm of post-positivism, which is based on critical realism, objectivity, and intends to be value-free, unbiased. In contrast, qualitative study is rooted in relativism and constructed realities. We are concerned about subjectivity in this paradigm. That means we want to know what people think, how they perceive, how they feel about the social reality. When we need to do quantitative or qualitative study, in quantitative study, we usually like to test or confirm a hypothesis or theory. For example, you want to test this hypothesis. Those who don't have enough family support experience lower life satisfaction. This is a hypothesis or a theory that we would like to test. In qualitative study, we are concerned about understanding concepts, social phenomena or processes, individuals' experience, culture. And one example related to our previous example, if you want to do qualitative study, you may have this research question: what is the lived experience of those who don't receive family support with their life satisfaction? What is their experience with life satisfaction? These two research methods serve different purposes. In quantitative study, we are mainly interested in generalization. We want to see if we can generalize our findings to our population. Versus in qualitative study, we are concerned and our purpose is to understand people in their context and explore meanings behind social phenomena. These two different research methods have different sampling strategies, and they are different in the sampling size. In quantitative study, we prefer random representative sampling. But in the real world, it usually doesn't happen unless you have big budgets and access to the list of all your members in your population. In the real world, we usually go with non-probability sampling, which is not a random sampling. And usually one of the limitations most of the times we report in a quantitative study is that there is a lack of generalizability because we don't have a representative sample. Usually we have big sample sizes in quantitative study, like about 100 individuals should be in our samples. Usually there is no golden or a specific rule here, but you should think about like something around 100 when you are starting designing a quantitative study. But if you have more number of variables, you need to increase your sample size. To calculate the sample size, we usually do power analysis, which is a statistical analysis, but you don't need to be worried about that in this class. In contrast, in qualitative study, we often have purposeful or convenient sampling. We just reach to some informants who we know they have rich information in the area we are studying and collecting data from them. Usually sample size is much smaller than a quantitative study. We go like with 10 to 20 people. Another difference between these two research methods is data collection techniques. In quantitative study, we use closed-ended questions. For example, what is your income? The answer is only one number. What is your age? Or we use multiple choice questions in forms of indicators, items, or scales that I'm gonna explain them more with an example. In contrast, in qualitative study, we use open-ended questions in the form of interviews or focus groups. Very simple explanation of focus groups is when you collect data in a group setting and there is somebody who is a facilitator and asks questions from all the group and they answer all the group answer in one session. That's called focus groups. In data collection in quantitative, we produce numbers. Data is expressed in the form of numbers. For example, let's come back to our example. When we have a hypothesis that family support gonna affect our life satisfaction, we have two variables here. One variable is family support, which is our independent variable. I showed it with IV, that means independent variable. We also have another variable, which is life satisfaction, which is our dependent variable. We need to measure each variable separately in a quantitative study. Now you need to measure, first you need to define and then to measure family support and also life satisfaction. To measure each variable, there are several ways you can measure them. For example, the easiest way, the simplest way is just you develop one item or one statement or one indicator to measure a variable. For example, for family support, you may ask respondents this question: I have my family's support. To what extent do you agree with this statement, item, or indicator? And you may ask options like never, rarely, sometimes, often, and always. This is only one item. You ask your respondents and they're gonna answer you with 5 options it's called Likert scale format. You are asking in a Likert scale. And then you are gonna code them because we are going to produce numerical data in a quantitative study. If they answer never, you're gonna assign code 0. If they answer always, you're gonna assign code 5 to this question. This is the easiest, simplest way you can measure this variable of family support. Usually this using one item to measure something complicated like family support is not very accurate, but just I'm giving this to you as an example to how we are measuring in quantitative study. Also, there are scales. If you very simply Google them or look at the existing literature, published research, you can find scales that already developed and you can use them. For example, there might be, if you Google family support scales, if you Google it, you may find many different scales that measuring family support. And you can choose which one is more relevant to your population of interest. You can do the same thing for the other variable, which is life satisfaction, your dependent variable. And then when you put them together in one questionnaire, you're gonna have a questionnaire that give to your participants or research participants, your target population who are in your research, and they're gonna complete one questionnaire which includes all your variables. In qualitative research, we are expressing data in the form of words, usually, with open-ended questions. For the research topic, we are now studying the relation of family support with life satisfaction. You may ask some open-ended questions like, could you tell me about your family and how your relationship is with them? How do these relationships affect your life? How different what would your life be if you had better relationships with your family? Here you are asking detailed questions, open-ended, to get more information from your participants. Here, I need to clarify something. The research question is different than interview questions. The research question is what guides your research. But interview questions are the questions guide your participants to answer to your questions. These are two different things, research question and interview questions. Just that sometimes students make a mistake here. The other difference between quantitative and qualitative research methods is criteria we judge the accuracy and quality of research or measurement. In a quantitative study, we judge the accuracy of our research with 2 criteria of validity and reliability. If your measurement, when you are measuring your variables, if your measurement is valid and reliable, that means your research is in good quality. In qualitative research, in contrast, we are talking about trustworthiness and rigor. And there are many details about what means trustworthiness in a qualitative research study, which I'm not going to explain in this video, but there are a lot of literature in this area. Finally, these 2 different research methods are different in data analysis. In a quantitative study, we use statistical analysis. Can be univariate. That means you have only one variable. You're just describing that variable. You may do bivariate statistical analysis. That means you have two variables. Or you have multivariate statistical analysis. That means you have more than two variables. And in the real world, we usually have more than two variables. In a qualitative research study, we can use other different kinds of data analysis. We have thematic analysis, which is kind of categorizing your data and find common patterns in your interviews or focus groups. Or you may summarize data. Now, based on the differences, between qualitative and quantitative research, I would like to ask you, come back to your research topic and your population of interest you chose for this class, and think about what method you would like to implement to complete your research. Thank you so much for your attention to this video.